Here we go. These are 6mm. That one's a little smaller. That might be like a 5, but these two are 4mm. And generally anything in the 4 to 6mm range are what I use for this. Just about a little more than 2 feet of silver, a little less than a meter if you're in Meterville. I don't like to use more than that because that tempts me to be more busy. If I have less wire, it forces me to be constrained and use every little strand just in the right way to make everything tight and strong. So we're gonna pick one bead we feel is like the weightiest based on, usually I'll use the darker color or, you know, definitely the larger. In this case, it'd be the amethyst. And we'll start with that one, put it through, bring it to the middle of the wire and just lock it in like that. Really simple. It's like takes absolutely no skill. It doesn't even have to be locked in neatly. That's a fun part about this. Now I'll take the next two that I feel are the next weightiest. I like to leave the smallest ones and the lightest color ones for the top, but you can do it any way you want. That's just my preference. About an inch in, and then I lock this one in. And then I'll do the same on the other side with this guy. When I bring them together, I want them to stagger, so I'll make this one a little closer, this one's a little farther out, because I'm going to bring them together and I want them to kind of zigzag as they work their way up the pendant. But you can really, that can be achieved later on by rolling it back and forth to get each stone or bead, you know, to sit where you want it to. I also like to go over and under as I loop them, like this one over, this one went under, the next one I'll go over again. Just my preference. I feel like it's a nice dance, like a balance. If you think of the wire as actually dancing in like a rhythm, sometimes you'll flow with it better and you won't find yourself fighting it as much. Sometimes you have an idea for it, but it flows a different way. Sometimes you just go with the flow and you'll find that the wire just kind of picks a path that looks even prettier than what you intended. But then other times you got to stick to what you want to do and the wire will try to go somewhere else and you got to tell the wire who's boss. It's an interesting dynamic. I guess it's kind of like life, like interacting with other humans. Sometimes you just chill out and go with the flow and let somebody else decide where to eat. And then other times you stand your ground and you say, no, this is my boundary and this is, you know, this is how I feel safe and comfortable and I'm not going to let you step all over it just because you are less sensitive or, you know, whatever. I don't know. Let's not get too deep with this. Now we have this cute little triangular network going up like this. And we're just going to try to fold them into this general shape of an oval. And like I said, I like to have them stagger. So this one. I also like to have a light one at the top. I don't like to have the darkest one at the top. So this one's going to roll in. No, maybe not. Maybe I'll end up with, yeah, I think I'm going to end up with this dark one at the top. That's fine. Like I said, it doesn't always have to go exactly how you planned. So I'm just kind of getting it into the general shape I want. The tighter you roll these, the better. They'll be stronger. You'll have to use less wire to anchor them later. So this entire thing is only roughly slightly wider than a quarter right now. For those of you who don't know the US, see that? Basically, pretty much the same size. And now I'm just going to pinch these two together, give it a right angle, because I always make my loops starting with a right angle, because then when you bend them back, they tend to straighten out better. And then I'm wrapping it around my fingers, pulling it tight so the two strands stay side by side. And there is my top loop. And roll it till it's about the size I want, not too big, not too small, which is usually about the same size as one of these beads, one of the 6mm beads. And then once I get it right where I want, I lock it in by wrapping it around like this. Oops. And then, again, you're just kind of molding these it's like molding clay almost. And then usually, you can do any pattern you want. You just start doing swirls and stuff, and always wrap it around every once in a while to anchor it to the piece, because that'll strengthen it and keep your little swirls and stuff from sticking out too far, so they don't get snagged when the person is wearing it. But I usually like to start coming back down here with an S curve, like that. Kind of curve it around the stones, maybe a little tighter than that. You know, you can always play around with the curves, get them a certain way. And then I'll wrap it once around here, and then I like to give the bottom a little more weight by coming around the bottom stone or bead with a couple of strands like this. Maybe one sticking out a little further, one separated a little bit more. And then from here, you just kind of figure out where you want to fill in swirls and just kind of make your way back up. Again, you can do a more fancy version of this with more wire, where you can do random, all kinds of crazy wild swirls, and go for it if you want to. But I'm showing you a very simple way with very little wire. So I think this is a good place to anchor this around here. Now let's see what we do with this one. I think this one is going to come all the way up here, like this, kind of build the shape on that part there. And then where do we anchor it? Do we come back here, or do we come all the way up to the top? I think we'll come back to this part here. Whoops, that's not really anchoring very tight. That's kind of slippery. So we'll come around quickly like this, and now we'll start wrapping it around the top loop. You can always wrap it around the top loop to end it if you get back up there and you have enough wire left. If you don't have enough wire left, if you're down here and you have very little wire, then I always just turn it into a swirl and tuck the swirl in. So that's the two ways I end it. Either wrapping around the top and then tucking it into that little bowl made for, I call it scarfing, like this is a face and you're giving it a scarf. You wrap, and then you tuck the sharp end in. Or if you're down around here somewhere and you're down to your last centimeter or inch of wire, I just curl it into a spiral and then shove the spiral somewhere where it'll look kind of pretty and it won't stick out or snag. So where's my pliers? I did all this without any pliers at all, just my fingers. It's really that easy. But just to get to the tucking part, I still need pliers because my fingers have not developed to be that amazing yet. Just wrap that right there. Just tuck it in, poof. Make sure it's tucked in tight, not ever going to come out and scratch anyone. And now we're just left with this one. I'm going to come around one more time right there. That's going to put a little more weight, so we have the dance coming from here to there to there. Although this is fine the way it is, either way. It's whatever you like, whatever you think is good. But I'm going to wrap it here, like that. And then I'm going to, like I said, there's a little bit left. I'm going to give it a swirl. There's not enough left to get back up to the top and tuck it in there. Got to hold it real tight when you're doing this swirl. If you hold it loosely, you'll slip and scratch the wire. And that wraps up the whole thing with a neat little bow with that little swirl there. It's kind of cute. It's hanging out right there. And we're good to go. And go back, make sure you like everything. This, I don't like this straight line coming across here. I want that to be a little more curved. So which way should I curve it? Which way is it kind of moving anyway? Let's see if we can we get it? Yeah, it kind of wants to flow up there like that. And if we let it and then we curve it a little bit, it's kind of a nice look. Same with this one. I don't like that going straight up there. Maybe, yep, same thing. I can curve it up like that. And then it comes around that little turquoise bead. This needs to be a little tighter. Right there. Check for general strength. When you're all done, if there's a flimsy part or a weak part or a part that's kind of floppy, definitely go back and get another piece of wire and wrap it more and anchor it down. There's nothing wrong with adding another piece of wires. There's no rules that you're breaking. But if you get into the practice of this, and when I say practice, I mean make 20 of these, you'll find they get more and more fun, and you get more and more of a sense of how you want to go about it. So, see, like this is a little bit loose for me. Not sure if maybe I want to push it up more like that. And what does that do to the front? Totally changes the shape of it. Instead of it popping out like that, I think I'll go halfway in between. Have it sticking out a little bit, but not as much as before. And the whole thing to be a little straighter. But I think that's generally it. This is a very lightweight, very cool, unusual, cute pendant. And I mean, I talked you through this, and it still only took me like 12 minutes. Once you get into the habit of just doing them, you can knock them out in like 7 or 8 minutes. It's pretty fun. So, anyway, go have fun, guys.